Hello, this is Transformers fan G138, and I'm here with a view of Generation Springer, Voyager class triple changer. And honestly, this guy is pretty neat. I'm finally happy to have a triple changing Springer. Just as a brief comparison, here he is next to his GDO, Generations Deluxe Overseas version. This is a terrible, terrible, terrible toy. This is a terribly, terribly, terribly awesome toy. Anyway, point being, this is just a movie toy with a Springer head on it. Painted all pretty and has a sword. This guy is designed to be Springer. And maybe, I have no idea what they're going to do for Sandstorm. I could see them repainting this with a couple of new mods, maybe, or I can see them completely redoing it. Okay, first off, this doesn't spin 100% freely. You can still feel a pretty decent amount of friction in there. However, it does spin on its own pretty nicely. For what it does, it's amazing. And I'll get to that in a minute. This is his double barrel gun rifle photon blaster. I forget what they called it on the box, but it's not like a regular missile launcher with springs and stuff. This is a pretty basic clamp system they used to use on a lot of the minicons in back in Armada. Anyway, it's still a nice gun. It's got the pivoting handle, which I'll explain that later. So basically, you push this forward, and the first one pops out, and then continue in the second one. So if we put these back in, and it's all, the speed and distance you get is all variable on how fast and hard you press this. Like that. So it's decent. It's like not the best launcher, but at the same time it's definitely not the worst. It's actually pretty good, pretty proportionately sized to the rest of them. So, I'll set that here for now, off to the side, and we'll check out the helicopter. So he's got some landing gear here. It kind of looks like he can drop payload or something. I don't know. It's neat. It's kind of whimsical looking. One thing to note, definitely, that this guy actually has a decent amount of paint on him, and it's all yellow, and the yellow paint does not match the yellow plastic at all. You can really see this on the camera. The yellow here does not match the yellow plastic. The yellow paint isn't put on very smoothly on these panels. And you can pretty much see through it. So it's a little disappointing. Then again, also these panels are really thin and you can see through them almost. So, yeah. So there's some issues with it, but I think the good parts heavily outweigh that. So if you put up the landing gear here and you grab this rifle, flip it upside down, kind of just move the handle around where it needs to be, this can actually, this part right here snaps into where just below the landing gear here. It does, there. And that takes away the front landing gear, but it still stands up very nicely. This kind of takes place of it. And now he's got a missile launcher on the front, which actually looks pretty nice. And these landing gear can, of course, fold up. I like it. So anyway, it's a nice helicopter. And now we'll do a transformation into the other vehicle form. It's just as easy to go back to robot mode than go to whatever. But honestly, it doesn't matter which way you go. It's the same, almost the same amount of work no matter which way. So yes, for this one we want to pull these panels out all the way like this. Pull them up to the side. Pull this out. We have to transform this for robot mode anyway, or for vehicle mode anyway, so talk about it now. So It's freely spinning like this, which is amazing. So you take this, and this screen thing is on a pivot. You unclip these, rotate this down, and it actually locks itself into the spinning part of the hilt and forms the hilt. You bring these two panels up and peg them together at the top. And this is actually nice solid plastic. It's a little flexible, but it's solid, so it's not like a rubbery blade or anything. And it looks a little strange. I kind of expected the hilt to go a little bit like this way, like it should, but it's this way. Kind of like Star Saber's blade did. Anyway, it's still kind of neat. I like it. It works. I like swords, obviously. So I'll put that aside for now. We'll need it again in a minute. So at this point, we'll just play around with this because I don't remember exactly how this works. So we want to kind of just flip these panels around, forward. And there you have the rear wheels. Put these to the side, like so. They're kind of like spoilers. These will finish rotating forward. And these actually go under these wings. Oh, sorry, we want to flip this around. Sorry, we don't want to flip that around. We just want to flip these up. So, like this. Sorry, I keep doing this wrong. Lift this up and back. Plug the windshield into the other windshield slot. Orient the arms correctly. These will actually slide underneath the legs. And then the front, it'll kind of just sit there. And I think there's a way to peg this in. I don't know, you just kind of have to line it up. Then when these come in, there's a little tab in here that tabs into this. Make sure the this panel is fully pushed up. And that will tab in there. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Make sure it tabs in up here. Grab these side panels, rotate them around, and compress them in. And there we have this amazing car mode. Honestly, I think both modes are fantastic. And this one's just as cool. Oh, that has to go up. So it rolls very smoothly. It's pretty cool. It's not quite an armored car, but more like a Cybertronian massive vehicle. In comparison with, I don't have any other deluxe. Oh yes, I do. In comparison with a normal Transformer car, here he is with deluxe class Sunstreaker. And you can tell by this that this guy is majorly huge for a car. I think I would prefer this in a deluxe size, but nothing else changed, which I don't think they could do, ever. So, I really like this toy. I think it's a really amazing figure. I don't like the size of it. I think it's a little larger than it needs to be, but it looks amazing. So, the looks outweigh the size, in my opinion. Price, I would still pay the same price for a smaller version of it. But honestly, if it was a choice between this and this piece of junk, take this any day. Which is funny, because I paid $60 for this. And then 2 weeks later they announced this. Something that I'm seeing on the camera by looking at the screen, this and this look different color. But to be honest, from the naked eye, you really don't tell that much of a difference. It looks majorly different. Actually, it looks like the color of my wall on the camera. Anyway, so it's nice. He's got some awesome vehicle stuff. Oh yes, the sword. Where do you store the sword in vehicle mode? Well, easy. You pull these up. You take the hilt. On the back of the sword, there's these little indents on the back of the green panel. And that actually corresponds to these plugs on the bottom of the knee spurs. So this, I didn't actually bother using the directions for this guy, I just kind of played around with them. I find that I do that a lot now. And I just dropped the sword, so give me a moment. And kind of set that in there. And these kind of come down and you line them up. Which that didn't do. I haven't, the 3 or 4 times I've done this so far, I have not had this problem. So, of course, it's just on camera. It's typically how it goes, right? Anyway, there's those plug into the sword hilt. And then just kind of readjust all the other panels back to where they need to be. And there. Wow, that took me like 2 minutes to do that. Amazing. So, it's cool. From whatever angle you look, you get like this huge gap between these panels. Interesting. It almost looks like they need to be like this. But there's no way to lock them there. That I can tell. So these kind of look like they should go like this, but they don't. So they're like this. Yeah. And of course, I swear I do not have this much trouble with this sword on a regular basis. Anyway, the sword is really easy to plug in unless you're me. So this is the gun, which can plug in either here or here. Does not matter where. But when you plug it in, that's when you have the rotating handle come in handy. You can rotate over here and shoot down, up, around. I like that. That's really cool. I don't know why they didn't think of that for other Transformers. Take this out because it's like getting on my nerves now. Anyway, so who wants to see robot mode? Because this is honestly the coolest mode. The robot mode. That is not this. So, start off. We're going to just unpeg like everything that's potentially pegged in. Flip stuff around, just get everything out of its own way. So when this folds up, this actually pegs into itself, which is nice. So if that ever becomes loose, it'll stay. So pull the arm things down, rotate this thing up, unclip this from here, flip up the head. This is where it gets a little tricky because the head does not want to fit through this very well. Kind of just got to get at like the right angles. So yes, if you're buying this for a kid, this is going to be very irritating. Because we adults are having issues with this. And granted, we have a lot of issues. Get the landing gear out. Might have some better luck getting this in. And there we go. And from what I can tell, the landing gear doesn't matter if it's in or out, because there's a space back in here that the wheel goes through. So this flips. First, we want to grab this panel, flip it back, pull it back out, and rotate it up. flip this up and up again, rotate this down, flip this panel in like this to cover the forearm. Do the same on this side. Pull these up, tab this in here, untab this, untab it again, pull these panels up and over, put these back in place, flip it forward and back, forward, up, back and around, pull the knee spurs out a little bit. According to the directions, these go out here like this. They really don't fit there in my opinion, but whatever, what do I know? So this is him in robot mode, and amazingly awesome, if I do say so myself. So his gun, well, first I want to talk about these. These you can fold up like this, and I like to store them like this, so they're kind of like there but a lot less obvious, which is nice. He's got a nice little Autobot symbol here, by the way. I'm just going to adjust the camera a bit. So, articulation, we'll do that first. He's got a little bit in the foot due to the transformation design, but realistically, not really. No side-to-side motion, it's pretty much preset. Although, the way he's designed, you can still get some majorly awesome poses out of him. So, make sure that's plugged in all the way. It's got a nice 90-degree ratchet kneecap. It does move a little bit out like this due to the transformation for the helicopter mode, but that is what it is. It has a swivel up here by the hip, which it has a hinge and a hinge, so it's double hinged there, which is nice. No ball and socket joint. He does have a waist swivel. Hey, this backpack gets in the way a little bit, but if you want to unclip it and bring it down a bit, he's got a lot more range. So you can get him in some crazy amazing poses here, with like his sword. It's kind of neat. So, put that back up. His head's on a ball and socket joint. Can look up, down, over, side to side, and no head cocking, unfortunately, so you can't get a smug smirk that he has in the original movie. He's got a hinge up here on his shoulder, as well as a ball and socket joint, so you got a lot of range there. He's got a 90-degree ratchet joint, as well as a swivel. His hand's on a hinge, as well as a swivel, which is great. And here's where most people's complaint is. The IDW style shoulder panels. He's got these yellow panels that go off to the sides, and that's like the biggest complaint I constantly hear about this guy. I personally like them. I personally like his head design in this. I personally like the wings in the back. I like the IDW stuff for the most part, except for that whole ongoing series they had there, the 30 issues, till they got back to the regular faces. I really liked Last Stand of the Wreckers, which this guy's, I'm sure, is inspired from. Really like this guy in general. So these go, you can put these up and then slide them back down with no hindrance in the motion at all. So if you don't like those panels, they can store away, which is awesome. Not sure if that was the intent for them, but they can do that. So, weapons. So he's got this rifle, which pegs into his hand, of course. Missiles fire pretty easily. sword can peg into the bottom like it's advertised on the package. However, it's fairly loose. But you can also peg it in at the top with the extra layer of paint up there. It stores that in nicely. Personally, though, I would never plug it into his rifle. I always plug it into his hand. Come on, it's a sword. I love swords. So, yes, you got this nice sword here. You got some nice poses, like I was saying before. Whole waist swivel. Kind of awesome looking poses. So you can do some crazy wild stuff with this. And did not mean to do that on you guys. Looking for something real quick. There we go. And just for fun, here he is next to Botcon Gigatron, aka Overlord. You know, since Overlord kind of defaced him. I want Springer back in the comics. Come on, they figured out how to bring Fort Max back. And he was pretty much a living lockpick. So yeah, this is this. I hope you guys enjoyed. My entire recommendation on Springer is get him, buy him, go out to a store, go online, buy him, buy him, buy him. His counterpart, though, which I won't be reviewing right now, I'll be reviewing later. Probably tomorrow. The other triple changer, Blitzwing, which is right here. Not as recommended to get. I unfortunately have to agree with the other reviews I've watched of this guy and just say he looks good in robot mode. He's okay in tank mode. I figured out the engineering flaw that causes his nose cone to pop out, and it's not the spring in the head. I'll go ahead and say that right now. I'm actually going to draw up some engineering diagrams and show why, and then maybe mod it myself to fix that, because I know the issue. But we'll see. I don't know if I'm going to mod it or not. Okay, so I'm just sitting here fiddling with this, so that's the end of the review. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Highly recommend this guy.